everybody, and welcome to Linda's Corner. Today, my podcast is with no other than Donnie Hinske, the Swiss expert in the Titans of CNC. Donnie, I am very excited that you're here.
I'm
How are
excited as
you?
well, Linda. I'm excited as well. Still, still getting acclimated to the weather in Texas after being in Germany for a week with y'all. So yeah, I'm excited to be here as well.
Okay, so let me ask you something, Donnie. How did you get started in CNC machining, and what got you excited about it?
So like my family kind of like was they none of them were like engineer by college degree or anything, but they were always like engineer type people. So like it started with like my kind of like love for how things work. My grandpa used to drive me around when I was like 6, 7, and he would stop he would stop at intersections if he saw trains coming just so I could watch him go by. Or he would take and like, I would look at all the I'd look at all the moving parts of the train. I found it fascinating. And then he would take me to air shows and I'd see the airplanes and I just always thought these things were so cool. And then when I was really young, my dad I used to wind up at his shop sometimes. I don't know, my mom would like drop us off or something, and I'd always watch him work on these machines. And for years, I didn't know what he did exactly, but I just thought he fixed machines for a living. But then I really vividly remember when I was like, I don't know, 10 or 11. It's hard to remember like which year exactly, but I remember the moment where he showed me a Swiss machine running. It was a Star SV32J II,
Wow,
and it
you
was
remember.
I do. I remember vividly, and he just showed me like a live tool coming up and milling a flat, and I just remember looking at it and just being intrigued, like, what is this thing and how does it work? And then he would always come home with prints, and he did the same practice all the time ever since I can remember, where he would show me a blueprint as a kid, and then he'd pull out his machinist scale and he'd say, "All right, do you see that? That's 3 inches right there," and he'd show me on the scale like that's how big this is. And just from a really early age, I don't know, I thought engineering stuff was cool and I thought machining was cool. I was gonna probably wind up in some field like this no matter what.
How old were you then?
I started working on his machines when I was 12, but he started showing me blueprints and stuff like since I can remember. I couldn't even tell you an age. It was since
Wow.
like my brain turned on. I can remember looking at the stuff.
So he's as passionate as you.
Yeah, he was. He worked a lot. My dad was no beating around the bush. He was a full-blown workaholic. He worked a lot, like a lot.
Okay. So what are some of the challenges machinists face with Swiss type CNC machine? Are there such challenges?
I mean, I think so. Yeah, I think the biggest problem is that the simplest Swiss machine has 5 axes these days. Live tools. There's different work planes. There's a lot. And when I used to train people like face to face, I would see a lot of people gloss over. They would panic almost. They'd see the weight codes. They'd see these just different call outs and stuff like that, and they'd just be like, You want me to learn all this? I have to type in all this code. I have to do all this." You know, with like a regular lathe or a mill, it's a little bit more of a relaxed work pace because you're not getting a whole process dialed in. You're just doing one step at a time. And I get that's a process, but like with a Swiss, you pretty much press start and you have to go from the beginning to the end. It's very difficult to kind of systematically work on things. It's very hard to rerun tools. So like you really have to think ahead. And I think there's no getting around it. You have to practice it and you have to make mistakes and you just have to learn. I think that's the hardest. I think it's the hardest stuff for people because it just it's a lot more happening at once.
Okay. So, can you tell us about the partnership between Softcam and the Titans of CNC, especially around the new Swiss Academy, Swiss Machining Academy?
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty easy. I mean, SolidCam and Titans of CNC partnered earlier this year, 2024. Almost forgot the year. Um, excuse me, still getting used to Texas. Yeah, so we partnered earlier this year, and it's been a great partnership so far. I mean, really, you got to give a lot of credit to Greg Payton from SolidCam. He's been just unbelievable. I just
Yeah.
like I think it was just Friday. I just texted him in the morning, "Hey, we need to spend all day working on this project." And he dropped everything he was doing to work with me. So it's been great working with him. I have to give a lot of credit to him. But no, SolidCam came in and they showed me their software, and honestly, it was so streamlined. I'm not a fan of learning new softwares. I don't think anybody is going to say, "Oh, I love learning new softwares." But when I saw how streamlined it was and how easy it was definitely a really good choice for Titans of CNC, especially for our Swiss department. And then they've contributed to the Academy. Greg came out here and did, I think, 27, 26 episodes, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and he did a really good job of just laying out the fundamentals and getting into the academy. And I always have to say this. It's just the beginning. We plan on doing multiple more parts with SolidCam and the academy. And yeah, so eventually SolidCam and Titans of CNC, there's going to be a full-blown walkthrough on how to program Swiss machines on a software. So that'll be pretty huge when it's done. It'll be pretty exciting.
Tell me something. You said that you learned SolidCAM in one weekend. How
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
manage that?
Well, I mean, the basics, right? So like basic turning, basic threading, cross milling, simple operations, 100%. If you're familiar with Swiss machines, you could learn SolidCAM in like 3 days. All I did was Greg came in, he showed me for the day he did the kind of like the initiation to say, hey, this is what SolidCAM is. And then I just watched Kevin's nighttime classes on his SolidCAM University. I
Yeah.
just kind of watched them, and it was enough for me to be able to program basic stuff. So yeah, if, in the and honestly, most parts on Swiss machines don't require five-axis contouring and all this crazy rotary milling. Like, honestly, I've probably worked on 1,000 different Swiss machines at this point, and I've done that like 20 times. It's not that common. So for the basics, 100%, you can learn it. You can learn it in days. It's not hard. It's a way smaller learning curve than any other software I've ever seen.
All right. So yeah, that's what everybody says, that SolidCAM is easy to learn and to use.
Yes, very easy, very easy. I'm just now getting into the five-axis stuff, which, again, it seems like a lot less clicks. I don't want to name names or anything, but there's other softwares that are quite cumbersome with how much stuff you have to prepare and know going into stuff. And once you get good at it, yeah, it's easy, but learning it is a nightmare, right? So, um, yeah, just learning the five-axis stuff for our next part we're doing for SolidCAM in our video is I don't want to spoil it, but it's a part that requires a lot of 3D milling, a lot of 3D chamfering and stuff. And Greg worked with me on it a little bit, and I was actually really shocked at how streamlined the process was. It's yeah.
Right. I love your videos. I can't wait for the next one.
Oh, the next one's going to be a fun one. The next one's going to be particularly fun. I'm actually really excited. We get to teach, and we also get to break a whole bunch of stuff because when you see what the video is about, you'll see why wouldn't you just destroy stuff with the thing you're making. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun video.
I like also the way you make videos because you're so much fun and so passionate about it. I mean, you really bring yourself right into the video. It's fun watching you.
Yeah, I've been told by a lot of people that I have the same personality as a golden retriever. I never thought that would pay off like in a career ever, but it really, I mean, it really does. I'm not capable of acting, so like however I am in a video, whenever I'm passionate about something, it's because I genuinely think it's cool. Like I said when we started, I've always found engineering concepts, machinery, I've always just found it to be cool. Don't get me wrong, it's also driven me insane working on these machines at the same time. But no, I've always found it cool. It's cool stuff. What the human beings figured out before we got here to make stuff and engineer stuff is just so insane to me. When you look at a CNC machine, everything you're looking at, it came from the ground. Someone dug stuff up, they
I
refined
know.
it, they molded it, and all this stuff just existed when we came to this world, and we had nothing to do with it. We just wake up in this world, and it's like, oh wow, everything's easy. I can make a hip nail, I can make a bone screw, I can make a rocket engine. Like it's crazy. Like it's really cool to me, and I find it really fascinating.
Fascinating. So, what is the main benefit that the Academy, the Swiss Academy, brings to Swiss CNC machining education?
To answer that, I would say really it's more about, like I said earlier, you get a gloss in people's eyes when you start throwing double channel, triple channel machines at them, they start just go like, what are you doing to me? Um, so I think when you have an academy, you could get away from the machine, you can go into a quiet room and you could just sit and watch. And, you know, with an academy like what we've created, I don't expect anyone to watch it and remember every single thing and never have a single problem. But what I do expect is, you know, it to be easier. It's a quicker way to get to the, like maybe not all the way from A to Z, but let's just say it starts you at L. It gets you far enough in to where, okay, now I can learn faster. Like for example, the first 4 years I did machining, I didn't even know what can cycles were. No one taught me because there was no education out there. I had no idea that there was a way to make a drill go back and forth and back and forth. I used to type that all out by hand, line by line. And, 4 years later into my trade, I think I was like 16 when I finally read my first manual. And then I was like, oh, wow, I can in one line do what I've been doing in hundreds of lines. And
Wow.
I don't want anyone else to go through that because it was a lot of work and it was a lot of wasted time and it was inefficient. So I think the Swiss Academy's main benefit is it'll really get you aware of the scope of Swiss machining. So when you get into it, there's things that won't be so rough for you like they were rough for me.
Right, right. So how do you think the Swiss Academy will influence SolidCAM users worldwide?
I mean, I think you'll have a user impact and I think you'll have a sales impact. I think for I mean there's almost two things of the sales impact there, but I think for users it'll be nice because you can't always call someone, you know? So if you are working on a Swiss machine and you well, say you own a company, right? And you have SolidCAM and you have a Swiss machine, all right? So you're already there. Um Now you hire a new guy, as we all know, like I said at SolidCAM World 2025, there's not a whole overabundance of skilled machinists right now. We are in a very bad spot as an industry looking for people.
Right.
So I think the reality is you're not going to find a Swiss machinist anymore. I think you have to make your own. And I think for SolidCAM in this academy, I think it makes it so you can at least sit someone down in front of a computer and get started by making your own Swiss machinist. Because the reality is that you're not going to find one walking around looking for a job. And I think the from a sales aspect, I think it really helps when SolidCAM says, "Oh, hey, you have this machine. We actually have an academy that walks you through it." Not a lot of other CAM softwares can say that. So I think there's kind of two things that can benefit from it, from an employer and from a sales side. Is what
You
I'd
know, the
say to
fact
that.
that the Swiss Academy is free, it's great. It's really wow.
Yeah, it has to be free because I think a lot of people don't know that we do the academy, and I think a lot of people think we're just over here yelling, running machines, just joking around all day, and it's like really anybody could do that. I think the academy is really what we stand on. I think it's the most important part of Titans of CNC. I think that again, you could sit and make YouTube videos and have fun all day, but really what is that doing for the industry? So the academy has to be free. It will always be free and it will always be there to uplift the industry. I think that's important.
You know, I want to tell you one thing that impressed me very much about the Titans of CNC is how much they contribute to society. I mean, they really try to help. They try to help a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, we do. And the stories are crazy. I honestly had no idea when I started here that I would have people coming up to me like, it's not common. It's not like every day I'm walking down the street and people are like, oh my gosh, it's you. No, like, it's not like that. But like when we go to tool shows, every single time there's a handful of people who come up to us who are like, they say, there was this one guy who came up to me at IMTS. It was an Apache helicopter pilot. And he had some money saved and he watched our videos and he bought a Tormach. He put it in his garage and now he is a firearms manufacturer. And he
Wow.
has several machines and several employees. And these people come up to you and they're in tears. And when you realize you're a part of something like that, it's crazy.
It's
It's
crazy.
so crazy that you're a part of something that is actually positively affecting people across the world. Yeah, like that, like that's more valuable than money, if you ask me.
Of
Like,
course, of
you know.
course, of course. So, can you give me some examples of how SolidCAM has made a difference for Swiss machinists?
Yeah, so like again back to the gloss in people's eyes when they look at a Swiss machine, it can be very, very overwhelming. And when you have a software that can alleviate a lot of that, I think that's where it's a big deal because I'm I learned the old school way, typing like this on a control. And I think not a lot of people want to do that anymore. So I think for you to make it so you can just click a line and say thread this part, you just eliminated so much knowledge someone has to learn and you just made it so much easier. And then with one button, you're in a simulation. So, oh, okay, I have a pretty good idea the software is going to work for me. You're making something hard easy. And that's a big deal, actually. It's a very, very big deal.
So, what do you think? Why is SolidCAM so intuitive? How is it that it's so intuitive?
That's a good question. Like, how is it that it's so intuitive? It's just laid out in a way that is simple. You just click where you want to click, and that would be really hard to explain with words. It's easy to show, which is what I do in my videos. That's why like the shoe spike. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna program this in front of you because you need to see how this works. It's you click where you want to click. Other softwares, you have to know where this one menu is. It could be really difficult to be like, all right, why isn't this working? Oh, you didn't know that there's this menu hidden behind this menu that's hidden behind this menu that's there, and then when you flip that 180 degrees, now it'll work. It's just like, who is going to figure that out? I've yet to run into many things where it's like, wait, you wanted me to click there, everything in SolidCam is, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I'm actually programming the next project up on my other screen, and everything is just laid out. It's pictures. It's what it should look like is what I'd say to that. It's what it should look like. It's nice.
Wow. So, what is your favorite feature in SolidCAM?
Honestly, one thing that I used to hate, again, I'm not going to name names about the older software I used to use, is the orientating of parts and the simple rules you had to follow, or else when you put it in and you told the software to create the geometry of the part, if you didn't have that perfect, it would be just messed up. And then you would also have issues with like you have to know to hold shift when you do this, and you have to know to hold control alt or whatever when you do this, and there was no I don't know. So like I would say definitely getting the part in getting started is so much less work in SolidCam. It is wildly less work in SolidCam. And then yeah, I would say that's probably one of my favorite features. Just getting started, getting into it. You're clicking away in seconds as opposed to minutes. And then you might find out later, oh, I didn't orientate my part right in this other software, so now everything I did is wrong. There's none of that. There's none of that.
You know, the way you talk is like music to my ears. Okay, so how is it, like you talked about Greg Payton before, but how is it working with Greg Payton and our global, he's our global partner manager.
Yeah, he is a wildly patient human being.
He is.
He is. Yeah, yeah. He like took care of me on the whole Germany trip, and yeah, it was funny. He hates heights. Like I was talking about back in the day, I used to like skydiving. I was, a little bit more reckless than I am now in my 30s, but yeah, he was talking about like a fear of heights, right? So we went to Oktoberfest, and there was this like thing that took us up spiraling, and I know he hates heights. So I was like, so you want to go ride that? And he's like, if you want to. I was like, Greg, you don't have to be this nice, man. You could tell me no from time to time. Like, and then, working with me, I'm very impatient when I'm working in front of a machine. I like the fastest solution. I like to go, 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 go. So, when he comes out here and works with me, I'm always shocked at how patient he is. He's yet to tell me to shut up because some people just can't help it. So I have a lot of respect for that. He's a very, very patient guy. I think honestly, from even just from SolidCam, I think that's a very good representation of your company because he was such a cool guy with cool stories to tell. And then you go to SolidCam world and you see all the people are very similar to that. So I don't know. He's a very, very good representation of the company as a whole, in my opinion. He's a good guy.
And that takes me to my next question. How was your experience presenting at the SolidCam World 2024 in Rosenheim in Germany?
Well, we talked about it while I was there. You said I didn't look nervous, but I actually was pretty nervous on stage. It was
You
my first
didn't
time
look
public
nervous.
speaking.
You look
Again,
like a total natural. You
really,
are
that's
totally
weird.
natural.
That's so weird.
And you were so charismatic.
That's funny. You're always your worst critic, right? So I don't know. It's hard because you think about I was a little unorganized. I could have said this better. I could have done this better. But I'm sure with practice I'll feel a little bit more confident about it as time goes on. But it was it was pretty wild to stand in front of 450 people and like just talk about Swiss machining. It's Titan gave me the best advice before I went there, and he said, "Look, don't even really worry about preparing much. Just talk about what you believe in." We both agree that the industry needs people, and this academy is extremely important. So it's not hard to come up with stuff up on stage, but it is weird when I get this thing in the back of my neck where like I can't turn my head because like it's like you're just like nervous. I don't know. It's funny that I don't look nervous to you guys because I sure felt it.
No, no. You were talking, you felt that this guy knows what he's talking about. You were talking from the heart. It was really great to hear you.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool experience. I really hope to do it next year.
Of course.
It was a really cool experience. Germany was beautiful. I think, when you like what I find so cool about SolidCam, and this is what I would probably bring up next year, is a lot of people are just like me. You usually you go to a software company and it's all like engineering people from college that don't understand machining and stuff like that. And a lot of the people who work at SolidCam, what impressed me was they were just regular dudes from shops like me.
Okay.
And I know now it's easy to forget that that's who I was at one point, but up until 2 years ago, I was just working in shops. And I like that a lot of the people who are working on the software are from shops because they actually get, no, don't do that. That's stupid. No, that's not how that works. They actually get machining, right? So you can have a realistic conversation with them. And I thought that was cool to see, what a beautiful industry. Like, you have people who were working in dirty factories, maybe clean factories, whatever, but they learned a software and they pushed their knowledge to the next level. And now here we all are in Rosenheim, Germany, you know, learning more about solid cam, dancing, having a good time, enjoying our lives. And it's like, I don't know, show me another industry where you could do that without a college degree. Show me another industry where if you really just work hard, you can wind up in just the craziest places. And hats off to solid cam because that's one of the nicest things I've ever seen a company do for people. Really, like that was just to walk out of your hotel and it's like 100-foot walk to the conference. It's just it was crazy. It's really cool to
Yeah,
see.
and next year is going to be in Prague. So that's going to
Yeah,
be really
yeah.
exciting. Tell me, I never asked you, how did you get to work with the Titans of CNC?
So it's actually kind of a funny story. So Titan, like 2.5 years ago, two and a quarter, I'll be precise here, 2.25 years ago, put up a post on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, I just partnered with Tornos. Is anyone looking, does any Swiss guys out there that want to work for me?" And I like, as kind of a joke, thinking he would never message me, I just put my name up, and all my coworkers from Dynamic saw it, and I swear on my life, I didn't bribe anyone. I didn't. I know if you look at the post, it looks like I bribed people, but a lot of my coworkers from Dynamic were like, "Oh, Donnie's great. Donnie's awesome. Hire him. Give him a chance. Whatever. He's a smart guy." And I'm like reading all this, like, "Oh crap!" Like 5 people commented. So next thing I know, I get a call from a Texas number like 2 weeks later, and it's like, "Hey, this is Titan," and I'm just like, "What?"
How
So then
exciting.
and I didn't really like it just didn't feel real. So he asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you want to come down and, work for me? Come down, check out the place, let me know what you think if you want to work for me." And it's like, obviously I'm gonna take this job.
Of
Like you're
course.
you're gonna say no to this job, or are you out of your mind? You know what I mean? Like no one's gonna say no to this job. So I still will never forget the moment, like I'm still not sure if it's real. Part of me is like, is this just a prank? Is someone just messing with me? And then he pulls up in his black Tesla and I just look and I was like, oh crap, that is actually Titan Gilroy. This is actually happening. So then, yeah, I get in his car. He takes me around his shop, and yeah, he offered me a job. And then I pretty much just
This
packed all my
wasn't
stuff
in
up.
Dallas, right?
Huh?
This wasn't in Dallas.
No, this was. He flew me out to Dallas for. I
Ah,
was at the time I was doing a contract job in California.
okay.
Um, and yeah, that oh gosh, that actually was a horrible. That's a 20-minute conversation in itself. That job, but no, so I was doing a contract job out in California, and he flew me out on a Friday, I think, or it was a Monday. It was the beginning or the end of the week, one of the two. And yeah, no, so I just once I was done with that contract, I went back to Michigan, packed all my stuff up. Yeah, and just drove down here, and I'll never forget. I drove down here. I rented my apartment. I didn't even see what my apartment looked like before I moved down here, but I got lucky. I got like one of the best apartments, and I honestly, it's like the best apartment I've ever
Wow.
lived in. And I blew up my air mattress. It was all I had in my apartment. I just remember laying on it, just looking at the ceiling, like, what did I just do to my life? You know? And then, yeah, slowly but surely just got acclimated to Texas.
And how is it working with Titan?
It's awesome. Titan's a really he's a very difficult person to explain because he has this vision, right? And it's so impressive to be around and to see someone who's so concerned about the industry and what's actually going on in manufacturing. A lot of people really don't, I think his videos, sometimes people are shocked when they go up to him and they're like, "Oh wow, he's a really calm guy. He's not like in your face or anything." He's not like that at all. He's just trying to bring awareness to the industry, and it's crazy to be around someone like that because you're constantly learning a lot. This is a very unique position in manufacturing to be in, working here at Titans of CNC. I mean, you see a lot about marketing, you see a lot about just how this has to be handled in order to have something like this. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, you get people who comment on our videos like, oh, it must be nice, this, and this." And it's like, okay, well, you do it. Like, you do what Titan did. Like, it hasn't been easy for him. It's been a huge uphill
Definitely
battle
not.
creating this much of a powerhouse of a YouTube channel slash marketing, influence in the manufacturing sector. So it's actually crazy what he's built, and to work with someone like that's pretty inspiring, honestly.
Very inspiring. He came to Germany a few months ago. We went to Wankmuller, one of our customers, and he came to our office in Schramberg. And I want to tell you, Titan is really an impressive guy. I mean, also the way he was with his family and the patience that he has. He's just an all around great guy. He really
Yeah.
is.
I think if
Very
anyone could
impressive.
employ me for 2 years, there should be like a award for patience. Yeah.
Okay, Donnie, I think we covered it. I think, this was really fascinating.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah. Well, right on.
Yeah, I'm always happy to talk. I mean, listen, you're like a celebrity.
In
I
the
mean,
manufacturing
Donnie Hinske,
industry.
when you came to
Yeah.
Solid Cam World, it was like, Donnie Hinske, everybody wants to take a picture.
Yeah, I mean, I can handle it in the manufacturing industry. I don't think I could handle it in like outside of the manufacturing industry. I've only been recognized once, and it was on a first date, and it was actually kind of funny because I just played into it, like, oh yeah, I can't go anywhere. But but other than that, I've never been recognized, and I'm okay with that. I don't mind being popular in this industry, but I couldn't imagine like what a real celebrity deals with and walks
Oh,
down the
yeah.
street and like no. No, 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 no. I don't want to deal with that at all. I like my privacy way too much. So
Oh,
it's
definitely.
yeah, it's cool in small doses. I think people who chase after that, I don't think they realize what they're asking for.
Oh, definitely.
Like the hyper analyzed lifestyle, you don't want that. You don't want that. So it is cool though. Honestly, the biggest thing for me, what I do here is the and this changed with the academy. The academy really showed me that I am doing something that's going to affect people and help people, and that really for me shifted my whole mentality on money.
Absolutely.
It shifted my whole mentality on my career. It really was like, you know what? Not a lot of people get to enjoy what they do, and not a lot of people get to teach the world what they do. And I think that's the best paycheck you can get. Really, like I genuinely
Absolutely.
believe that. I'm not just saying that. Like that is to me the biggest
I
paycheck I can
know.
get.
I know. Right. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you. It's always
Okay.
nice. It's always nice talking to you, Linda.
You too. Bye bye.
All right, bye.